Hello everybody, welcome to another True Review. Today I'm bringing you Lethal League on the Xbox One. It's currently priced at $11.99 in the UK and $14.99 in the US. So what we have with Lethal League is one of these multiplayer-centric combat arena titles where you have to hit a baseball around a screen into your opponent to simply knock a life off your opponent or to score a point, depending on which game mode that you are playing at the time. There's 6 playable characters. The controls are very simple. You have a strike the ball, you have a bunt the ball, which takes all the velocity off the ball and allows you to kind of like get a more controlled hit, but takes a little bit of practice to actually do. And you can jump as well, and you can also taunt your opponents if you so wish. And that's the simple premise really. Hit the ball, tag it into your colour, it hits the opponents, you score and you win. Now when I review one of these multiplayer titles, I always look for a few key things with them. I look for the amount of content mainly that they have to offer, because just historically they generally are very, very light on content, and unfortunately that's the case with Lethal League. There's only 6 playable characters, and whilst they do look different and they do have unique traits, 6 is a very, very small number to be actually dealing with. There's 7 playable maps as well. None of the maps make really a difference in what you pick. They are just simply backgrounds. There's no environmental traits to any of the maps, no obstacles in the maps. They are just simple barren empty arenas, and it's just basically graphical preference what you are picking there. There is also only 3 game modes as well that I can tell from, which you've got your basic free-for-all, you have your team battle, and you have your points battle, which basically works the same way as free-for-all really, but rather than knocking lives off your opponents, it's the first to X amount of points. Other modes available to you, there is a training mode which does explain how to play the game very well. I'll give them props for that. And you do have a single player challenge mode as well, which sees you come up against a series of set opponents. Basically gives you a taster of all the game modes and is a good really practice arena before you take the game online. Local multiplayer also, up to 4 players locally, and there is online, which is fantastic to see. However, to date I've not been able to get an online match. I've been hosting games or sat on the quick match menu and not found a game for over 5 minutes, which at that point I literally gave up. So that leads me to 2 possible conclusions. Either there's nobody playing the game, or there's something wrong with the online coding of it at the moment. Now graphically it's rather nice. It's got that distinct cartoony style to it, nice vibrant colours, and each of the environments for the backgrounds of the levels are very different, as are the 6 playable characters. Musically it's a little bit of an oddity. I do like the music, but I think some of it is a little bit out there for the type of game that it's at. That's just my own personal opinion on that one, because music is obviously very subjective, but I just don't think it quite gels well with the on-screen action. A lot of the time it would have been nice to have some kind of procedural generated music where it reacts to the velocity of the ball, like the ball's going faster, the music reacts in a certain way. You take speed off the ball and the music slows down and then raises to a crescendo when it's getting fast, when the ball's getting faster again. Something like that would have worked really, really well, I think. Finally, the achievements. The achievements is a pretty straightforward list on paper. You have to level up to level 33, which is a simple task of just time invested in the game. You don't get experience for anything else other than simply time playing. There's ones for doing a few miscellaneous tasks like getting the ball to a certain velocity, there's one for playing 100 matches, and there's one for beating the challenge mode once with every character and once without continuing, of which you get 2 continues in the single player challenge mode. Unfortunately, at the time of this video going live, the play 100 match achievement is unobtainable. I've been made aware the developer has acknowledged the issue and have said it will be fixed in a future patch, but do bear in mind at this time of the video going up, it is not able to get a full 1000 gamer score on this game currently. So is it actually worth a purchase then? Well, yeah, it's fun, it's different, and it's an interesting take on the battle arena kind of game. However, I do feel it's very lacking in content for the asking price. Comparable to other multiplayer arena titles such as this is one of the higher priced titles, and I feel 6 characters and 7 backgrounds doesn't really translate into good value for money, especially when there's also a limited number of game modes which you're essentially doing the same thing as well. So whilst I do enjoy the game, even though I've not been able to experience the full package because the online wouldn't work for me, I'm going to give Lethal League a solid 3 out of 5, but it's definitely one to earmark for a sale, because currently there's not an amount of content to reflect the asking price that they're giving it. If they give you some free characters with a future update, say at least another 2, maybe 4 characters and some additional backgrounds, then that would obviously change. But currently 6 characters and 7 backgrounds, just not enough for $14.99 or $11.99 in the UK. So definitely one for a sale, but still a thoroughly enjoyable multiplayer arena combat game. So I hope you enjoyed that review, guys. Please remember to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next review.